Hello everyone, welcome to Commerce Biz. Friends, many times we have come across the word customer and consumer and we use it interchangeably because most of us don't know the actual meaning of customer and consumer. In today's video, let's understand the meaning and also the difference between these two terms. So let's start today's video with the meaning of customer. A customer is a person who buys product from the seller. So a person who is buying the product from the seller is called as a customer. The customer may or may not consume the product. So it is not necessary that a person who is buying the product may consume it. So a customer may consume the product or he may not consume the product. Customer pays for the product. As he is the buyer, he has to pay for the product. In simple term, customer is the buyer of the product or service. Simply we can say that a person who is buying and who is paying for the product or service is called as a customer. So, who is a consumer? Let's now discuss the meaning of consumer. A consumer is a person who consumes or uses the product. So, a person who is using the product is called as a consumer. He may or may not purchase the product. So, it is not necessary that a person who is consuming the product may purchase the product. So, he may purchase the product, he may not purchase the product. In simple words, we can say that consumers are the end user of the product. So a person who is using at the end is called as a consumer. If we take example, when parents buy a product for the kids, the parents are the customer and the kids are the consumer. If we take example of milk, when the parents are buying milk for the kids, there the parent is the customer and the kids are the consumer. Because parents are buying not for themselves, they are buying for the kids and they are paying. So parent is the customer and kids are the consumer. I hope you are clear with the meaning of customer and consumer. Let's now discuss the difference between customer and consumer for a more clear understanding of these two terms. The first point of difference is the meaning. A customer is the one who purchases the product from the seller. So a person who is buying or who is purchasing the product from the seller is called as a customer. A consumer is the one who is the end user of the product. So a person who is using the product is called as a consumer. The second point is resell. A customer can be an individual or business entity. So a person who is buying the product can be an individual or business entity. Business entity, if we take example of wholesalers, they buy the goods from the manufacturers in bulk quantity. So they are called as the customer of the manufacturers. And what they will do, they will resell the product for profit. In case of consumer can be an individual, family or group and do not resell the product for profit. If we take example of a person who is buying grocery for his family, what he will do, he will buy for using it, he will not buy for reselling it. So the main intention of the consumer is not to resell but to use the product. The third point of difference is the payment. A customer pays the price for the product. So a person, as the person who is buying the product is called as a customer, he is the person who pays the price for the product or service he is buying. A consumer may or may not pay the price for the product. If we take example of the kids for whom the parents are buying the milk, they are not paying the price. It is the parents who is paying the price for the milk. So they are not the person who will pay the price for the product or service. The last point is the motive. The motive of the customer can be either to resell for earning profit or consumption to satisfy the need. If an individual is buying the product, he will use it for consumption. But if the business entity like wholesalers are buying the product from the manufacturer, their intention is to resell the product for earning the profit. End motive is, in case of consumer, end motive is always the consumption of the product. So the end motive of the consumer is always to use or to consume the product. So these are some of the differences between the customer and consumer. I hope you understood the topic. Thank you.